Hi, this is Tim Donner. And now, exclusively for our Liberty Nation News MemberZone subscribers, we present a special segment from Liberty Nation Radio just for you.
Liberty Nation with Tim Donner.
It has seeped gradually into the American psyche over these last years. Wokeness, a level of extreme social consciousness far beyond anything we grew up with. Well beyond the so-called limousine liberalism or bleeding heart liberalism long derided by conservatives. Being woke means a whole lot more than just supporting big government welfare programs or walking around with a Black Lives Matter t-shirt. And here to help us understand the fullness of wokeness is a guy who, by the measure of many, is himself insufficiently woke. Jeff Charles from LibertyNation.com. Welcome, Jeff.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Appreciate it. So let's start with a broad question. What does it actually mean to be woke?
Yeah, so here's the thing about that term. All it really means is being socially conscious and socially recognizing the issues in a particular society. So we'll take the United States, for example, recognizing that there are issues of racism in our society. Now, some people might disagree as to the extent to which this is pervasive, but I mean, usually when somebody claims to be woke, they are talking about believing in systemic racism, or they're talking about understanding American society when it comes to racial issues that go below the surface. It doesn't just apply to race, although that is what it was originally intended to do, but it can also apply to, any type of bigotry that might have an impact on somebody's life.
Okay, that's a pretty good explanation. Now, is wokeness more a product of Black activists or white progressives?
So the term really began, you can trace it back to even to slavery days, but really it kind of came to the fore in like the 40s. A lot of it is associated with Marcus Garvey's movement to go back to Africa. He talked about people being awake to what should be happening and what's happening in society and where things should go. It kind of died down for a little bit, but it did start in the Black community, and it had a resurgence in 2014 with the advent of Black Lives Matter and other activist groups as well. However, I will say that a lot of white progressives have actually glommed onto it. And this is usually what happens, right? Something will originate in the Black community. White progressives will swoop in and do their thing with it. And then it becomes something totally different, or I'll say a little bit more exaggerated than what it was before. So it's kind of hard to determine at this point how much of this is white progressivism or actual Black activism and where the intersection lies.
So, Jeff, as we examine the most extreme views of wokeness, is the famous New York Times 1619 Project asserting that America was founded for the purpose of perpetuating slavery actually supported as foundational to the truly woke? And is there any concern about the demonstrable historical inaccuracies associated with that project?
Yeah, and this is one of the problems that I always point out with the hard left, because they will take an issue that might have some truth to it or might have some merit, and then they'll blow it way out of proportion. And being woke back in the day was more about what actually happens in American society and what actually happened in history. They didn't feel the need to lie about it or exaggerate it to make themselves appear to be more woke. And now we're in a situation where this 1619 project, and there are aspects of it that are accurate, but the notion that the nation was founded to be a slave nation or founded on slavery is false. But that's kind of where you get into something weird, because why would you even feel the need to exaggerate it? You can look at America's history and see some legitimately ugly stuff. You don't have to exaggerate it, but there's an agenda behind it, and it's to push their ideas that America is a deeply flawed nation, deeply racist, so we need a fundamental transformation of America.
Right. Does this brand of wokeness clash with the concept of Black self-empowerment?
So here's the thing. Wokeness doesn't necessarily have to clash with Black self-empowerment, although brand of wokeness does. I mean, if you think about Malcolm X, the ballot or the bullet speech, he was what would be considered to be woke. He was woke. He understood the societal issues, the racism in American society, but his speech was all about Black self-empowerment, Black economics, Black business ownership. It's something that you also see today with the Hotep community. They also recognize that racism exists, but they're not going to wait until racism is over to start building. They're going to do it anyway and then fight it in other ways. So it doesn't necessarily have to be in opposition to Black empowerment, but the way the hard left does it is very much against Black empowerment.
Thank you, Jeff.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
Jeff Charles, LibertyNation.com. Thank you for subscribing to the Liberty Nation News MemberZone, where you get more content, including articles on culture, politics, and current events. I'm Tim Donner. Thanks for being part of the LN community. This has been a production of LibertyNation.com, conservative news where truth matters.
Hi, I'm Lisa K. Donner, along with Mark Angelides, Sarah Cowgill, Tim Donner, and Scott Cosenza, and this is Liberty Nation.
Now let's take a look at the LibertyNation.com electoral leaderboard. It's still 238 for Joe Biden.
What if stories and legends can offer us the key to unraveling the hottest political issues of the day and apply their lessons to understanding the chaos of modern politics?
Impeach 45!
Only where freedom of speech is honored can people who look, sound, or think differently be truly free.
If you're discussing something that's difficult, the probability that you're not going to offend each other is zero.
President-elect of the United States of America, Donald Trump.
Donald J. Trump is now president.
With one click, Liberty Nation delivers tomorrow's news.
And remember, liberty.
Today.
All the time and everywhere.
LibertyNation.com